Math 1040 summer semester. It's great to have you. I just want to give you this little welcome video and orient you towards your online class. So right now we're looking at your main Canvas homepage, and this Canvas homepage is more or less your go-to and your week-by-week breakdown of what you need to do each week. Okay, so in this very first week, our outline is here. And each week you're generally going to have a quiz that is due. So your first quiz is on data collection. And here's a little extra background information. So some weeks will have some extra handouts. Week 1 does. And in addition, there's this syllabus quiz. So this first week you have 2 quizzes. In week 2 you just have 1 quiz. Okay, and it has this little launch button spacecraft thing that indicates it's a quiz, and it has the points associated with it here. Okay, and its due date. So in week 2, just 1 quiz. This is a PowerPoint slide that has your lectures. So these are your lecture notes, and if we click on it, there's one here and there's one here. Okay, this describing data will take you to the PowerPoint slides. You can download it here, but here are the slides. So introduction to statistics, here's the first slide of this lecture, and it's an introduction, but it goes over more things, leads into graphs, etc. Okay, so each week you have certain graphs and certain lectures that you can go over. And let's go back. Okay, so here in week 2 is a quiz. Let's click on this and we'll just show you what information you have. So it shows you the quiz type is a graded quiz. It shows you the points, that it's associated with the homework group. We'll look at the syllabus and see what groups you're graded on in this class a little bit later. It shuffles the answers so they'll be permutated within it. Okay, you don't have a time limit to take this quiz. You do have multiple attempts, and your attempts are 2. It takes the average of those 2 attempts. Now be very careful when you take your quiz. I recommend completing both attempts before this due date of May 20th. Okay, and the reason why I do that is because there's a late penalty if you complete your quizzes after the due date. If you complete them after the due date, there's a 5% late penalty per day. And so, obviously you don't want to delay your quizzes or take them after the due dates more than is necessary. Okay, so if you complete your first attempt, then you can take your second attempt after the due date. It's going to apply the penalty to that second attempt. So please take both attempts before the due date. Okay, now I'm going to preview this quiz just so that you know what you're in for, but also let's look at this main body right here. So it just tells you have 2 attempts, which it also tells you down here, and it tells you, hey, here's your lecture notes slides. Those were also in the module, so you could access it here. And you could also look at this lecture. So I go over the slides in this lecture. You can access it through YouTube or through Kaltura. I also have the corresponding reading. So this first one is your required textbook. However, I'm leaving the choice of the textbook up to you. It is technically required that you buy the course textbook. However, if you feel that that this source, which is a free online textbook, OpenStack, is sufficient, you can go with this textbook. And I tell you what chapter to read. Read all of chapter 2, or you can go with this other free online stats textbook, and it has these sections that correspond to it. Chapter 2, sections 5 and 9, chapter 3, sections 2 through 4, and 12 through 13. Or if you feel the video lecture and the PowerPoint slides are sufficient, that is your choice. So you could just go with the lecture notes, you could go with the textbook, you could go with a free textbook. I'm leaving that choice up to you, and you get to make that decision. Okay, I will note that in my slides and on my video lectures, there are possibly a few mistakes. Please email me if you spot a mistake. I try and correct them as I go, and it helps me for future classes as well. Okay, so let's preview this quiz and see what it's like. So, here's all this information that you can use. And here's question 1. It asks you to compute the mean. Here's question 2. It asks you to compute the standard deviation of this data. And you're going to select the answer that best corresponds with the mean or the standard deviation. From time to time, you will have questions that are select all responses that apply or that are true. So just be aware of that. Okay. So here's some other questions. Let's just preview this some more. So here's a question that asks you to select all answers that apply. So some of them are select one, some of them are select all that apply. And here's multiple questions about these curves. Okay. Now let me go back. Okay. So in this week 1, you have a data collection quiz. That's here. And I'll preview it for you. So, you get your lecture notes. You have your questions here. Select the best answer. Is the number of flips until a coin lands head a discrete or continuous random variable? All these different answers that you're to select. And let me go back one more time. So, but because this is the first week, you also have a syllabus quiz. Okay. Now this syllabus quiz, you should reference your syllabus while you take this quiz. I highly recommend that. And just ask a few questions about the syllabus. And this one's very important to me. Because this is an online class, most of our communication is going to be via email. And so when you send an email to me, send it to this address, and I'd like your email to have a certain format. Okay, so I want, should your name be included somewhere in the email? I'd like you to take a text of the question or picture you're having trouble solving, so I know what you're referencing, and that helps me help you. But all of these details on these quizzes are listed in the syllabus. So there's 6 questions, and if I go to the syllabus, here's some of the information. So I have this little description here. This is your template for questions when you email me. Please send me a text of the question or the picture you are having trouble solving, what you tried as a possible solution, the name of the class in the subject line so I know which class to reference, and your name. Okay. So just a few things about email correspondence. Because it's an online class, I'm expecting a lot of emails. I generally try and check my email every day. In the off chance that I don't check it on a specific day, I'm asking you to know that generally 48 hours is when you should expect a response. I might have family commitments, so on the weekends you should expect that it could take longer. I might get back to you, but you shouldn't count on weekends. You should generally expect, if you email me Monday through Friday, I'm going to get back to you within 48 hours. You email me on the weekend, great, I might get back to you. If not, I'm busy with my family and friends. Okay. Few other pieces of information. So email, that's where you should email me. And here's my office hour information. It's Thursday from 11 to 12 a.m. It's for all courses, via Zoom, and you're required to make an appointment, okay? Just so I know what to expect, and you can easily do that. You just have to click on this, and here you go. Select the office hour that you like. You know, if you're going to look at next week, here's the different office hours. You click on this, you know, you can sign up for an office hour appointment, okay? Um, these are the other information when you're making your appointment, but be sure to click and make an appointment so I know that you're there, okay, as I will check that, okay? Okay, a few other items. So we went over email. So just to go over the text one more time, you know, the required textbook is this one. I'm leaving the decision to purchase the textbook to you. You may instead opt for a free textbook, or you might decide that the lectures and the notes are sufficient. Okay, I'm leaving that to you. That is your decision. Okay. Prerequisite for the course, I presume since you're enrolled, you have all of that. And then, you know, one of the biggest things that you're probably asking is how am I graded? So grading, there is a project. This can be done individually or as a group. Okay, that's worth 15% of your grade. Homework, those weekly quizzes, are what I'm calling homework. They're worth 30% of your grade. Notice that is the single biggest factor for your grade is homework, and that's 30%. It's worth more than the final exam. Okay, and in fact, it's worth the 2 exams put together. So you want to be on top of your homework. Okay. Each exam is 15%. I'll go over how, when, and where to access those exams in a minute. Your final exam is 25%. These are your exam days. So your first exam, it's open from June 11th through 20th. So you just have to take it from 11 to 20. Exam 2 is July 16th through 25. You know, we don't have as much time to take a final exam. It's 13 through 18. And that's because finals week is pretty condensed, okay? And that final exam is worth 25% of your final grade, okay? A couple things I want to go over. Canvas is really important. That's where your exams are going to be going through, okay? Don't miss the exam dates. If you anticipate having trouble with taking an exam during one of those dates, you need to talk to me in advance, okay? I want each of my students to do well. In the event, you know, that life happens and for some reason you don't do well on an exam, you can improve your score on one of your exams and it boost it up to a 70%. But I do want to warn you, this requires substantial outside work, and it basically is equivalent to completing a project, a group project, but typically you'll be doing this to boost an exam grade. Okay, so if you do have one bad exam, email me. That needs to be turned in by the last day of class, and we need to make arrangements. It's not something that you can do in a day. Okay, this requires substantial work. Okay. For some of your readings, you might want to access New York Times, depending on what group project you select. It's free for students. Core beliefs, if you believe this material is in conflict with your core beliefs, you should contact me in the first week of class to assess that and find a section of Math 1040 that does not conflict with your core beliefs. And if I can, I will try and make an accommodation for you. Okay, but that is at my discretion. So one last final thing is that there will be a review for your exams, but not for your final. And I will say in part, there's not an official review in the way that there are for your first and second exam, but you can take your previous 2 reviews from your exam, and then your final exam is just a little bit more material and just review those homeworks. So it'd just be 1 or 2 homeworks to review for your final, okay? just some things I need to go over, which is that this is an online class. You're expected to do a lot of work outside of class. This may mean watching videos, podcasts, completing homework, reading your textbook, etc. Okay, this is a sustainable class, and several themes are related to sustainability, including your group or signature assignment. And we have these learning outcomes for sustainability. Okay. Okay, homework, as I said, the due dates are posted on Canvas. There's a 5% late penalty per day. There's a group signature assignment that is worth 15% of your grade, and it is related to these big questions. To what extent is statistics able to make statistical conclusions on issues relating to sustainability? And what does the decision mean for us in the big picture sense? Okay. So, you can read more about this, but there's also a detailed description of your group signature assignment on the Canvas homepage. I'll show you that. This is your grading breakdown. If you need computer equipment, you can click here. I expect you to be a professional when you take this class. And finally, because, COVID, there could be other policies or issues which I need to notify you of and update the syllabus. Okay, let me go back to your main page, which is the list of modules. It's all right here. Let me show you your exams. So, in week 6, this is your first exam. It's closes on June 21st. That's the last day you can take it. But you also have a review for it. So, you can take this review as many times as you want. Okay? And so there's a bunch of questions that you can review. You can take the best score for this review. Let me go back. Okay? Now this is your exam. This is exam 1. Here are the details about your exam. This exam is just a Canvas quiz. You only get to take this once. Okay. And here you can see that, I'm kind of cruel. You're allowed notes. You're allowed to reference the Canvas page, but you can't talk to anyone or have someone help you with your exam. Okay. This is a time test. Okay. And you're allowed to access all this information when you take your test. You can access the Pearson if you have an e-text. You can access OpenStax. You can access online stats book. So that's one of the free textbooks that I listen, and they also have some useful calculators. Okay, so that's exam 1. You can see all the details here. Okay, and notice you're only allowed 1 attempt. Okay, so that's exam 1. So your exams are just listed right here on the Canvas page. And you can see, your outline. Here's exam 2. Here's the quiz for week 10. Everything's listed here. Here's your final exam, and here's your final project. I'm going to click on your final project. One of them is on the Salt Lake City temperature project, or the other is on a pay disparity project. I apologize, somehow this didn't get updated, but it will after this recording. You can complete this project individually or in groups of 1 to 5. Okay. So I just want to say, this Salt Lake City temperature project, you need to address all these bullets. That's basically how I grade you. But I expect you not to write in a bulleted format. I expect you to write in an essay format, and points will be deducted if you write in bulleted format. I want it to be an essay format. Okay. So here's, just tell me about sustainability, tell me about different causes of climate change, whatever you research, I want you to just cite it and address it here. Okay. Ideally, you should this should just be an independent research project, and you should be independent and open-minded while you're completing this. Here's some implications that I want you to discuss. So you need to read some New York Times articles. Then we're going to get into the data, and here's all your data analysis. Now this looks like it is longer and then the other projects. If I go down to the other project, it's the pay disparity project. Here's the data set, by the way. And for the temperature project, here's the data set. So the pay disparity project, it is less structured. You're free, you're not to include your personal opinion, you're just to do your research to answer these questions in an independent fashion. Okay, and in fact, if you want to express your opinion, there's one place where you can do it, and it's here. Okay, but here I just want you to tell me about society and economics and related to gender discrimination. Explain why it's an issue of sustainability, and then it goes into the data analysis. Now, this is less structured than the other assignment. Okay, you might think because there are less bullets that this one is easier, but I think that this project is actually the most streamlined and straightforward project, because I grade you on the bullets, addressing the bullets as best you can in an independent fashion. And just addressing these bullets, they're very well outlined. Like here, for instance, the only place where you have to, one of the main places you have to do research is in the introduction, but for implications, I have the articles that relate to this data set already researched for you. This is all on the data and data analysis, so this is all, there's no research involved in the methods, it's just doing data analysis. This discussion, this compare your results that you have done above, no outside source required. Here I provide the outside sources, and here this is just the conclusion section. You can cite sources or you can use your own words. Okay, so really just one main area. You can optionally, you can always choose to cite more sources if you like, but here, your sources are kind of referenced for you here, so you don't have to do as much outside research. Whereas here, this is all for you to research on your own. You're expected to do more outside research, so I would not say that this is necessarily the easier project, it's just a different project. I would say this is the less structured, this is the more structured project. Okay, and the main goal of these projects are to show you that there are some useful applications to statistics, and I hope that by the end of the class you enjoy statistics. So just to reiterate, when you go to your main homepage, this is more or less your guide throughout the semester, completing this course. And you just go through each week by week. Okay. So I just want to thank you for watching this intro video and to say welcome to Math 1040.